Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
What to do before 2022. That is what we're going to be talking about today and on our next show as well. Julie has created a great list, I think of 17, 20 points.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're low impact, easily done things that once you get them done, you'll feel a lot happier that you've gotten something completed. The thing that you do not want to have happen is do not lose the momentum of being in work mode. In other words, if you completely and totally check out for the rest of the year and into maybe the first or second week of January, you're going to have a very hard time emotionally, physically, and then ultimately financially getting things back up to speed. So we strongly encourage you, and you guys know this because most of you listen to us every day, to actually have started your year back in October. In other words, start your 2022 3 months prior to the actual start of the year, because that gives you an enormous advantage on the marketplace. But if you are just discovering us now, listening to us for the first time, or you didn't take our advice back 3 months ago, that's fine. It's not as good, but it's fine. Do not wait until January 1st. I promise you, it'll be one of the biggest regrets you have. So listen to the notes, take action on the things we're going to suggest to all of you today. Now, before we get to our first point, I want to continue with the theme that we've been doing all month of gratitude towards all of you. And today we're going to be reading some of the reviews of our book on Amazon. And if you guys want to get the book, and again, if you're looking for something to do over the holidays, definitely consider reading our book or downloading the Audible version. The book is called Harris Rules. It's quite simple, called Harris Rules. Almost 500 five-star reviews. So we're going to read some of these. And the reason that we like to acknowledge these is because a lot of people take a lot of time to actually make some very thoughtful, considerate comments. And they're giving gratitude towards us in the book, but what they're really doing is they're trying to influence all of you guys to consider reading the book as well, because the book had such a great positive impact on their lives. They're suggesting it might have the same on yours. So these are people that are very much in the mindset of gratitude, and we want to acknowledge them, and we really certainly appreciate it. So Julie, you can just read a few of these, and some of these are in the form of video, but like this one down here, this person created this really, Christy created a great review, but you can read that too, in any event.
Okay, so just a few of these, and we'll jump into our points of what to do before 2022. So the first one is from Sherry Edinger, and we appreciate you, Sherry, with your 5-star review on the Harris Rules book. It says, must have for real estate agents. Sherry writes, Harris Rules has helped me launch my real estate career. It's a no-nonsense, back-to-basics guide. It gives so much useful information on how to be a successful agent. There are lifestyle tips as well. You can really feel the care and effort that went into creating this book. There's something in it for everyone, and I highly recommend it, as well as their podcast, which you guys are listening to now, Real Estate Coaching Radio. So thank you for that, Sherry, and your 5 stars. Now, G.E. Smith, also a 5-star review, says, a must-read for realtors who want to perform. Great common sense tips to achieve your goals and run a profitable practice. At last, no more languishing in mediocrity.
Now, some of these I don't remember, but like this next one, she actually took the time, Christy, to create a really great video.
Yes, and Christy writes, it's a great book. I'm glad to have the paperback, as I also have it on Audible. It really has an awesome book for new realtors and let's see. I just need to freshen up. It's a really good book. Should get it. I'm a coaching student of theirs. I believe in everything they say. I sold 16 houses in my first year. That's fantastic. Of joining the coaching program. They give you a step-by-step confidence boost. Instead of getting ready to get started, earn while you learn. I'm good at that, LOL. Listen to their daily podcast too. So thank you for that, Christy.
And this book, some of you guys, it's kind of funny in the comments. Sometimes people, or the reviews, some people ask, well, Tim and Julie are really busy. How'd they take the time to write this book? I'll tell you how we did it. We did what we didn't want to do, and we didn't want to do it at the highest level.
A bit at a time. It's not like we sat down and wrote the whole thing in one afternoon.
It was painful, and Julie did most of the work. And
chapter by chapter.
And she had 4 editors who were constantly, riding her butt to get the book done. But it got done. And the effort was definitely, the results were definitely equal to, or not greater than the effort.
Yes, I would say even greater than, I didn't even know that there would be an index, and there was an index editor of all things, right? Okay, so Lacey says, actionable advice for everyone in real estate, step by step and actionable, exactly what I needed. Tammy says, great book, a lot of useful information. And then let's see.
Let's make this this one's kind of long, so let's
Trying
make
to
this
figure
one
out
the
who
last
wrote
one.
that. ST77.
ST77,
Okay.
whoever that is.
The 5-star manual for 5-star real estate career if you do what it says. I like that part. This book is unlike any other real estate book because it's not really a book. It's a user's manual. No, wait. It's a professional's manual. Books are read, manuals are studied and implemented. Good point. I'm amazed at the 1-star, 2-star, or even 4-star comments, which is less than 10% of the total reviews. That should tell you something. Hey, I get it. I've been a pretty skeptical person myself when I don't know what I don't know. In my humble opinion, those reviews reveal more about the people rating the book than anything on a number of things, just saying. Yes, I'm a real estate agent that, with the help of this book, the no BS approach it teaches, the community of successful agents that adhere to the principles and don't quit attitude have all contributed in helping me get back in this business and begin to not only survive, but to thrive. This is coming from someone who swore they would never do real estate again. Sure, I too would make it a 1-star book if I wasn't going to actually do what I didn't want to do when I didn't want to do it at the highest level. Yep, that's pretty much the foundation of this book. I might even rate it a 3 or a 4 if I were a so-so agent that had not gone through the crash of 2008 and is still enjoying my one-spoke sphere of influence business. Look, folks, it's 18 rules that have shown to work for countless agents, including myself, in all types of markets and economies. When the rules are followed and implemented, this manual is not 18 opinions by authors that have never sold real estate at a high level, nor is it 18 easy suggestions by real estate agents that were kind of successful the last time the market was hot and houses sold themselves. One thing I've learned as a result of this book, there's 2 reasons for ignorance. They don't know, in this case haven't read the book, and won't know, refuse to do what it says, which leads down one road, frustrated, broke, and going out of business. So get the book, follow and implement the rules, and get on the right track to the land of libertas. Your future self will thank you for that. So thank you for what a very insightful and introspective review, and I love all the action words in there.
And we do know who wrote that. He signed off, David Tatum. And so
Yeah,
David is
David.
right that if you are looking for easy buttons and you're looking for things that will not put you in a position of having to learn and be of service to other people, not the book for you.
Yeah.
If you want to create a bunch of social media and TikTok videos and you think the clouds are going to part and the leads are going to spill into your lap and all your problems are going to be solved through passive means, not the book for you. David's absolutely right. We can read one more, I think.
One more, and this also is 5 stars. Thank you to somebody named Maru, M-A-R-U, who writes, I love all the topics and advice in this book, which I can see myself using as a manual for doing my job. The topic that best fit my needs at this time was the section that talked about full-time income on a part-time schedule. Thank you.
Yep.
And yes, I think that we are perhaps the only coaching organization and coaches that are out there who actually do support our part-time agents, people who are transitioning part-time, even those that will always be part-time because that's how they've decided to run their business. That's okay, but there are rules to follow, just as he mentioned. If you're going to be part-time and expect a full-time income, there are some specific things that we talk about in the Harris Rules book. So go ahead and grab that on Amazon. If you're traveling, check it out in airport bookstores. Easy to get, and you can also download it to Audible. Maybe you're sitting on a 4-hour plane flight and you want to listen to the Audible version. We didn't read it, but we did find a really great narrator for the Audible version.
And man, there are some people that are pissed that we didn't read it. When we do our next book, I think you're going to read it.
Probably, but you did do a really good job.
The guy that the publisher hired was fantastic. But so if you're looking for, and it's by the way, 96% that are a 4 or 5 star review, 89% are a 5-star review. So yeah, I guess people like it. And the book has sold tens of thousands of copies. I mean, it's one of the best selling real estate books for real estate practitioners to learn how to build their businesses of all time. So if you're looking for a great Christmas read, if you're looking for a gift for the real estate professional in your life, and the best part is it actually comes wrapped in a festive green cover. That is the cover of the book. Green as in teal as in pretty close to the color of money. How about that? So go ahead and pop over to Amazon or all the other major booksellers. The best booksellers all are carrying our book. All right, Julie. So let's get to our topic for today. I renamed it, but the gist of it is really what you should be doing in 2022 prior to the start of the year. And I think we set it up a second ago, just kind of laying the groundwork for what these guys need to be doing so they make sure that they don't peter into the year.
Yes, and none of these points are difficult, but they are all important. So what to do before 2022, this is your action plan. Real Estate Agent 2022 action plan. Point number 1, check on your pending transactions set to close in the last 2 weeks of December or the first week of January and close them early if possible. Here's the thing, guys. Christmas and New Year's Day are both on a Saturday, but Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve fall on Fridays, which means nobody's going to close on those days. Avoid delays with smarter scheduling. Get in front of that right now, and if it's not ready to close, choose some days that aren't like Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, where your title companies are going to be closed.
Do you have any points in here about expired Palooza, by the way?
No, but that's a good point.
All right, so we're going to make
a bonus point.
For those of you who are listening and not reading our notes, we're going to give you a bonus point, 1A. And 1A is going to be expired Palooza. This is the best time of year to be hunting for expireds by far. There's no other better time. And here's what you're going to run into. You're going to call expireds, and all of them are expired. Some of them are going to be withdrawn. Some are going to claim temporary withdrawal. Check with your MLS to make sure you're allowed to call them. And if you are, call them, because what you're going to discover is if you use our scripts and you ask the seller a simple question, because here's what every seller is going to say, that's especially with withdrawals or even the expireds. They're going to say, we're going to put it back on the market in the spring. And you could say, Mr. Seller, I appreciate the fact that you're going to put the house back on the market in the spring. And you know what? That might be the best thing for you. Notice the first thing I'm doing, guys, is not trying to make the seller wrong. And then you pivot, and then you say, but Mr. Seller, let me ask you a quick question. If there was a clear financial advantage that could equate to tens of thousands of extra dollars in your pocket at time of closing, would you still want to wait 30 or 60 days to put the house back for sale? Now, if they say yes, then obviously maybe
they get a reason.
Follow the script and then set the premise up that you're going to be calling them, so I'll give you a call in 30 days. And by the way, one of the rules of our coaching is when you say you're going to call them in 30 days, you don't wait 30 days. You call them at least once a week, but realistically, if you're going to be on the outside of it, call them every 2 weeks. But our suggestion is if you get a hot seller that's going to put their house back for sale, that you follow this simple rule. When you get a hot seller lead, here's your lead follow-up rules. You follow up with them until one of two things happen. They list with you, or unfortunately somebody else, or they file a restraining order against you. That's how aggressive your lead follow-up needs to be. Now, not aggressive in the sense that you're being gross, but aggressive in the sense that they know you're interested in selling the house. So you're going to follow up with them. You're going to, whatever it takes. And again, our follow-up plan is part of our coaching program. It lays out every single thing you should be doing with follow-up. But the point is this time of year is expired Palooza. There's droves and droves of expireds that are temporarily expired that will go back for sale in whatever they determine to be the spring. And that's the thing that sometimes sellers say. We're going to put it back on the house back on the market in the spring. Agents listening, does the spring mean the same thing to you as it does to them? Probably not. So ask them, okay, Mr. Seller, I appreciate that. So you're going to put it back on the market in the spring. So when is the spring? When are you thinking? And then they're going to say, well, we're thinking about putting back for sale, let's say in the middle of March. Middle of March? Okay, well, that's certainly a great time. But can I tell you, Mr. Seller, why that might not be the best thing for you financially to wait until then to put the house back on the market? And they're going to say yes. Well, Mr. Seller, I'm in contact with sellers all day who are telling me pretty much the same thing, which then tells me there's going to be a lot of houses coming for sale this spring, as there are every spring, which usually leads to a lot more competition. Whereas, Mr. Seller, you might be surprised to find that right now is one of the best times to have your house for sale because there are fewer homes that are competing with you. And then listen to what they have to say if they say anything. So, Mr. Seller, you probably agree it just makes sense that you'd have the house for sale now opposed to the spring so you could potentially make tens of thousands of extra dollars. And then follow our script and we shall tell you how to close the appointment. But the point of all this, guys, is that you are working this time of year so you're not having to rebuild your momentum going into the following year.
And by the way, don't be shocked and surprised when they actually don't give you that objection. Some of them are so motivated that they will get it back on the market. I had lots of coaching calls this week where, yes, new listings were taken, launched, and sold last weekend.
Well, Julie's bringing up a good point. Sometimes the sellers don't want to take the houses off the market. The listing agents just don't want to work. Yeah. And so this is a really hackish listing agent problem. They'll encourage the seller to take the house off the market, not because there's not viable buyers out there, but because, again, they just don't want to work or they don't know any better. Ignorance.
Right. Somebody told them nothing sells during the holidays.
Ignorance or apathy or both. But the truth is, guys, and get into the MLS and research this statistically, what you'll see is this time of year, houses do sell. Of course, they do sell, but they have a tendency also to sell for closer to asking price because there's less inventory for the buyers buyers to choose from. Now, the more expensive the house, the better it is to have this time for sale this time of year,
true.
because you got a lot of people that have set artificial and real deadlines to be in their house by a certain date, usually by the beginning of the following year. More expensive housing is going to have a lot of relocating folks, and they're going to generally have to be on their new jobs by January 1st, which means they are making housing decisions now.
Yes, and here's proof of that. You know how I love our rentals going vacant in the winter in Columbus, right? My least favorite time. Happened twice in the past month. Instantly rented. And do you know who rented them? Wayward sellers who had already sold their houses and couldn't find anything to buy yet.
And we raised the rents big time.
Yes, and that tells you there are, yes, relocating executives in those higher price ranges that want to be in by January. And there's also people who haven't been able to buy a house yet. So get those listings. Okay, don't forget expired Palooza. Point number 2, this is really critical, guys. Resolve all financing, inspection, possession, and appraisal issues immediately on your pending transactions. This is how you should always operate, but not just during the holidays, but especially during the holidays. The issues will not get better when you procrastinate them. Communicate regularly with these clients so they don't cancel on you due to their own holiday stress. Nothing worse than having stressed out people followed by inspection woes. Well, they will back out of deals.
They'll lose their momentum, basically.
Yes.
They'll lose their momentum and their motivation because they had a fight with their mother-in-law or some silly ass thing like that.
Make it your problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, or they'll just basically,
give up.
because generally speaking, people can juggle maybe 2 or 3 emotional, balls at the same time. And after that, they just are on overload.
Right. And they look for some kind of easy resolution. They'll say, you know what? This is too stressful. I'm just going to break up with my transaction. Don't let it happen.
Point number 3.
Send Christmas or holiday cards to all of your pending clients, coming soon listing clients, anyone who referred business to you, including other realtors.
Now, we want to drill down on this. If you have people that sent you business, that the business didn't even close, right? Someone tried to send you a lead. Somebody thought of you enough to send you an opportunity to list or sell a house, right? You have to be very gratuitous in your praise of them, especially around the holidays. Yes, give them a gift. What Julie and I used to do, and you do or don't think this is a good idea, but we used to go out and for our best referring clients, we would give them a bottle of wine. You guys can do all kinds of different things, but the key is to give it to them. Don't leave it on their doorstep. And what Julie and I would do, and this was a lot of work, but it was fun, is we'd fill up the back of our car with a bunch of fancy wine bags and a bunch of, I'd say, moderately priced wine. And we drive around every Saturday morning in December, and I could see looking at your face, you remember doing that. Yep. And we would look nice and professional, and we would knock on their door, and we would give them their bottle of wine and wish them Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and the rest of it. Do something similar. So anybody that even tried to send you business, you got to love on those people big time. All right, so this is a good time to remind you guys, if you've not yet completed your 2022 real estate business and lead generation plan, get it done. And we've made it very simple for you. Just text the word Harris, Harris, to 47372. Text the word Harris, Harris, to 47372. And when you do, we're going to text you back a link to download the book. You have to text back and say yes. And then after you say yes, you're then going to be sent the link to download the Real Estate Treasure Map. It is another perfect project, which is on this list, by the way, to get completed this time of year if you've not done it already. So complete your Real Estate Treasure Map. It is a fill-in-the-blank. It's a book, by the way. It's like 70 pages. And 3/4 of the book, the Treasure Map, it's all about basically setting goals, the fallacies of setting goals, essentially why, a goal is a dream with an action plan. It walks you through all the work of having to get that done. And then the last part is the best part. That's the fill in the blank actual business and business and personal life plan. So it's both. All you got to do is text the word Harris, Harris, our name, Harris, Harris, to 47372. And when you do, you get all of that. And oh, by the way, you're also going to be able to schedule yourself for a free coaching call with one of our new member coaches. That is all completely free to you, the Real Estate Treasure Map, and a free coaching call. Look, some of you guys need somebody to talk to. They're there.
That's right.
Text the word Harris to 47372, and you'll be able to download the Treasure Map, and you'll also be able to speak to one of our new member coaches. Get that done now. Text the word Harris to 47372.
That's right. And you mentioned point number 4 was getting those holiday pop buys done to people who referred to you, but also your best past clients. Get those done. And there's a big discussion going on in our Facebook Live group for our Premier Coaching clients who are doing the wrapping paper pop buy project that we've mentioned on previous podcasts. It's not too late to do that. Point number 5, in this last month of the year, decide when you'll be on and when you'll be off. It's okay to take time off, but it's inefficient and stressful to be half in and half out. Decide what your work days are and what your play days are and mark them in your schedule and then stick to it. Don't be at a holiday party checking your phone. You're missing the point if you're doing that.
Well, again, this is really hard for, frankly, people that are, I'd say, miswired like you and I are.
I agree
completely. Where we like to work and having non-structured days. I mean, I feel a little bit like, Wapner's at 4. Right. Not having a structured day is definitely not, it's something that's abnormal because it goes against everything that it took for us to become the people we've become or are becoming.
Yes.
But the reality of it is I've learned as I've gotten older, and I think you have too, though you're staying at 35 forever. I've noticed.
That's right.
That it is a incredible blessing to force yourself in some cases to not actually have more than maybe the first half of the day structured and then take the rest of the day off, especially this time of year. And what I've been doing to occupy my, neuroses basically is listening to podcasts, reading books.
Yes, working out.
Working out for sure. I mean, doing other things like you are. We're one of our great sponsors, the meal company. What's that?
Every Plate.
Every Plate, right? We're subscribers to Every Plate, one of our sponsors of this podcast. And Julie and Zoe and my mom lives with us. They all three of them are spending like the Every Plate thing. It takes 10 or 15 minutes to make the meal, where they're taking an hour to do it every night, but they're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it's good stuff too.
It's incredible too.
It's really good
but
food.
This is all this is an opportunity for all of us this time of year to upload new operating system, new software.
Absolutely.
And if you guys like, one of the podcasts that I've been consuming is All In. That's a great podcast. There are other podcasts that when you go to All In, that'll suggest other podcasts you should be listening to as well. But what a lot of you do and should do to keep your minds in action and keep yourself motivated for the next year is definitely go back and to consume some of our past podcasts. That's the easiest thing for you to do. They're available on iTunes. They're available on Stitcher. They're available on our main website. It says on iTunes, there's 2,000 shows. There's more like 4,000 shows, but when we switched to a different, we switched from one company to the next, they only allowed us to upload 2,000 shows.
That's still a lot of listening.
Exactly. That's a lot of listening. Those shows are an average of probably a half hour long.
Well, but that's a really good suggestion for those of you who are wired similarly to us and can't just, take a few weeks off, right? is do some work in the morning. Maybe those are your past client center of influence outreaches. Work on your real estate treasure map. Do some of that work in the morning, and then maybe in the afternoon you get caught up on the podcast like what we were doing earlier this week about gratitude, and you choose one of those gratitude points. Maybe you work in the morning and then you go be a Secret Santa at Target in the afternoon.
Totally.
Right? So you can mix it up. It doesn't have to be 100% in or out, but you should be very conscious about it and decide how you want the rest of the year to play out.
Definitely listen to the last pods we did, the last 4 days of about gratitude. We got some great feedback about that. We're grateful that so many of you are showing gratitude towards our podcast about gratitude.
Yeah, and here's the other thing that I really think all of them, if they haven't already, or maybe even listened to it a second or third time, I know that we have, is that Peter Schiff interview, because there's so much consternation out there about inflation and what's going to happen next year.
As there should be.
As there should be, and you do need to understand it and be able to have some talking points with your clients and your prospects so that you don't just have, some random headline in your head. Get caught up on those podcasts.
Knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. Our job on this podcast and with our coaching and our books and all the other ways we try to help you guys is to make it so that you're confident, and then once you're confident, you're going to want to help other people. If you're finding yourself hiding behind passive lead generation, scammy type things where you think that all of a sudden if you create enough, intriguing YouTube videos or whatever, people are going to start calling you to list their house, you realize that's an exercise in futility. Some of you guys you expect that everything's going to take longer than it should, and it does if you do things that don't work or don't work quickly. So one of the things we suggest to everyone, if there's not a direct correlation between your effort and the results that you're putting forth, don't do it. There's no reason to do it. So again, being very practical and tactical, if you are going to have a choice between how you're going to spend the next 3 hours of today, and you have a choice between actually doing what we suggested at the top of today's pod and creating or calling some expireds, which will lead to appointments, even if you're sketchy at it, it's going to lead to opportunities. Or you can then go on Facebook and create a bunch of likes and posts and create a bunch of YouTube videos. 90% of you are going to do the second and not the first. Why? Because it requires no skill, because there's no, perceived rejection. But the reality of it is those don't get you the results. How amazing will you feel? Ask yourself this real question. If you actually exercise what we suggested on point 1.5 today, and you actually go after some of these expireds, or you go and do some of the things we suggest that are going to be direct contact with your past clients and centers of influence to show gratitude. How are you going to feel having direct contact with those people, hearing what they have to say, knowing that you're actually doing what you said you were going to do when you said you were going to do it at the highest level versus somebody else who's just looking for shortcuts and, gravitating towards people who tell you that you don't really have to work hard? Guys, you got to wake up. You got to grow up, because the reality of it is what we're telling you is true. Many of you, all of you really, 99% of you have only been selling real estate during a hot, crazy seller's market. We don't know we gave you guys a lot of predictions, over 20 predictions, what we think is going to happen on a previous podcast, or a series of them actually. But the reality of it is this inflation monster that we're all going to be dealing with is unprecedented in our lifetimes. The only other sort of parallel to that is going to be going all the way back to the 70s. And even then, everything was different. And again, listen to the Peter Schiff interview, listen to Julie and I's predictions. The reality of it is, guys, is who you know and what you know matters in this new market. So you got to be doing both. And Julie, the final point of today is point number 6.
Yes, and we've touched on this because it's so important. Get that real estate treasure map completed. That will establish your goals in 5 areas of life, which are family, financial, physical, spiritual, and educational. But it shows you how to go about that, as well as your specific production goals. This is personalized to you, your ideal daily schedule, and your sources of business. This is your business plan. It gets you into control. So many of you guys send in texts and emails and comments about how you feel like real estate's out of control all the time and it's not predictable. Some of that is true part of the time, but most of it is not true when you actually follow a real business plan like the real estate treasure map.
Guys, stay close. Stay close to Julie and I. Stay close to the podcast. Read the book. Keep your head down. Get work done. And I know that is not what I just said is completely the antithesis of what most everyone else is telling you. Julie and I, and you, with your own intellect and your own intellectual curiosity, we will always be able to sniff out any slight pivots in the path that we're all on. But in the interim, make sure you're focusing on what your highest and truest purpose on this planet is. It's not your self-actualization, guys. It's not doing what you're passionate about. Oh, there we go. There's some more crappy book reviews we're about to get because I said that. But it's the truth, okay? It's the truth. It's about being of service to other people. When you're service to other people, when you're here to help other people, when you're actually in alignment with how can I be of service to other people, then you're naturally going to migrate towards past your ego, past your what's in it for me, and you're going to migrate towards how can I learn to be a better provider of real estate services to buyers and primarily sellers. How can I learn? What do I have to do to become the best version of me as a listing agent? Stop worrying about your feelings. Stop worrying about your slight, contrived offenses. Stop worrying about people offending you. Stop worrying about all that Mickey Mouse. Move your presence above all of the fray and realize what matters most is the service you provide to other people. And when you are in alignment with that, guess what happens? Everything comes your way. Again, Julie and I don't understand the hypothetical metaphysics that I just described. Some of you hopefully have experienced that in your own lifetimes, but the reality of it is that's how it really works.
That's right. And those of you who have had your best year ever know that, because you can go back and identify what caused that. What did you do really well this year? And then you've got to, of course, do it again next year. You know that works because when we ask you what created your best day in real estate ever, you can say A, B, C, D, and E. I know that works, and I need to be more consistent about it.
You can even ask yourself, when did you feel the happiest? When did you feel actually the most in alignment with yourself in all the most meaningful ways? It was when you were being service to other people. It's when you were helping somebody else. It's when you were, raising your children, or you were taking care of some animal, or you were doing something that was being of service to something or someone else, right? Of course, you all know it. It's intuitive. Everyone knows that. And yet how much of modern society is trying to convince us that we have to be these narcissistic sort of
conflict-free.
It's all about happiness. And oh my gosh, you're giving me conflict and you're offending me. So now I don't have to listen to you. I don't have to listen to what you have to say. There's no sense of me experiencing rejection. My whole point in life is to be passionate and be happy all the time. Guys, that leads you nowhere. The real path to where you want to be, and more importantly, to have the character of the person you want to be, is staying in alignment with who you truly are, which is someone who's designed to be of service to other people. And hopefully all that makes sense to you guys. So in the meantime, make sure you get your homework done. Text the word Harris to 47372. Do download the treasure map, and do take us up on our offer for a free coaching call. You guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.